Welcome back. We are in the third portion of the Creating Grant Application Components module. And in this section, we'll be talking about your collaborative partners and the type of information that they can help us create for applications, and also the sort of information we might need from them. Now, you're right. We were just talking about collaborative partners in the last module when we talked about the 8 different strengths that an organization might draw from to write their capacity narrative in the application. As we drill deeper into our information about collaborative partners, they get their entire own section within this conversation because, well, the reality is collaborative partners can be a huge competitive advantage for you compared to the other applicants that are being considered by the grant maker. So as we think about what it is that we're applying for, your organization, your nonprofit, your grant-seeking organization, you are going to serve as the lead applicant in this scenario. You are going to be the one with your name in the legal applicant field. You're the one clicking submit. You're the one with your executive director signing the application. So yes, it is your responsibility. You are legally liable for the application you're putting forward, and it may likely be the big idea that was yours as an organization. But oftentimes, for your big idea to succeed, we need the input of others. We need the resources or the additional staffing support or some additional skills in order to ensure that what we implement is the best thing possible for our target audience, for our clients, for our community. So those collaborative partners, they really, if we think about it more like an ice cream sundae, wow, they are absolutely those amazing toppings that go from taking it from a great ice cream to an amazing dessert. Now, what is it that we need to know about our collaborative partners, and how is it that we include their information within our grant application elements? One of the spots that we need to be sure that our collaborative partners are highlighted is in our logic model. Now, the logic model is a visual way that we can show our program design. So within one 8.5 sheet of paper, how is it that we put down our key elements so that a reviewer, a grant maker, someone new to learning about our work can quickly get a sense of the design itself? Well, within that design, where would our collaborative partners go? Certainly, collaborative partners might be part of the process of designing the logic model, of agreeing on what are the activities that are listed here, what are the outputs that we'll be counting, what are the short or intermediate or long-term outcomes that we might outline in the logic model. But in addition to helping you talk through the design and maybe finalize the design, your collaborative partners are also one of your key inputs, one of your key resources that without the logic model wouldn't make as much sense. So you need your collaborative partners to be involved in your logic model in 2 ways. If they have a substantive role in the project, they should be part of the conversation to finalize your logic model, but they've earned a place in the logic model itself. If they aren't represented as part of the inputs or the resources, your reviewers might have some unanswered questions. And when reviewers have unanswered questions, our competitiveness goes down. How else can we engage our collaborative partners, and where else should they be visible? Your collaborative partners should be a part of designing the work plan, the spot where you highlight your key activities and who will be doing them, and when will they be done. It makes only natural sense that if we were talking about our collaborative partners in the logic model, that conversation would follow us into the work plan, because the work plan is drilling deeper into the conversation about key activities. So when we think about our work plan, yes, collaborative partners might help to design at least the portion of the work plan that they will be responsible for, the part of the work plan that outlines the key activities that the collaborative partner will contribute to in a meaningful way. That probably means that the collaborative partner will be visible within the work plan in the responsible people, the responsible individuals portion of the work plan. It might be that they are paired with someone from your internal staff, or maybe perhaps they are the only person that's listed. Up to you and your design and your collaborative relationships, but your grant maker might very well expect to see that your collaborative partners have a visible spot within the work plan where they will be contributing in a meaningful way. Our collaborative partners, well, if they're part of our work as we're doing the key activities, that means that they'll probably have some interaction with our gathering of data, maybe with our analysis of data. Are we counting those that we're serving or the services that we're delivering? Are they part of surveying community members and clients and stakeholders? We might realize that data and access to the data is beyond our staff's reach, that sometimes our collaborative partners and their staff might need to have access as well. So it's important that as part of our collaborative partner agreement, maybe even as formally as a memorandum of agreement or understanding, that we have clear agreement in place about who has access to data and why and when. And this is something that we would potentially want to highlight within our grant application narrative so that there's clarity to the grant reviewer about who's contributing to the evaluation and also who can see and touch and use the data. What has permission been granted for? If you can't tell, when we have collaborative partners involved in our grant applications, things get a little more complicated. But the reality is that it's worth it for those that you're going to serve, that the collaboration makes the overall project or program that much stronger by taking your strengths and your collaborative partner strengths and bringing them together. What you're doing is creating something better than what could have been created by either of you alone. But that's not free. That's not cheap. That takes budgetary contributions so that you can support both organizations. Now, while we talked about the program design elements first, that's not to imply that the budget conversation with a collaborative partner should come at the end. Rather, it should be happening from the very beginning. Is there a way that the grant will allow for the financial support relative, proportionate to the effort being made by the collaborative partner? The answer should be yes, or perhaps it's not the right opportunity for this collaboration to go after. So you want to, from the very beginning, be talking about how both partners will receive funding for their contribution to this collaborative effort. And be honest, be candid. Is there enough to contribute to both partners in a way that is equal, fair for the work that is being contributed? Sometimes that's why you might set a grant application down. Let the collaboration look for a different opportunity to support its work if there's not enough financial resources available to support both parties. When we think about those costs, we want to be careful to not have either partner in a collaborative situation underestimate what the costs are for the contributions they're making to a project or program. The direct costs that we might see occurring within a collaboration, well, these might be the staff and their related benefits cost that are directly working in a community or with the clients or the patients, etc. There may be some supplies or perhaps some equipment that needs to be purchased. It's potentially true that there might have to be mileage, reimbursement of mileage, or maybe there's public transit, but some of those direct costs, the things it takes for the work to be done, those tend to be rather visible and easier for collaborative partners to imagine. We also don't want to discount what the indirect cost is for the partner's engagement. When you're looking at a collaborative application, when you're talking to your collaborative partners, one of the initial budget questions that you should ask, especially if you're collaborating for a government opportunity, is Dear partner, do you have a federally approved indirect cost rate? This will dictate what their budget will look like and what it is that they would request as an indirect cost rate reimbursement through the grant. If they do not have an already approved indirect cost rate, they may have the option to claim what's called the de minimis rate. So a 10% that any nonprofit can claim as their indirect cost rate when they're looking at, in particular, federal government funding. That's important for you to know. Do they have an approved rate or not? Because as you're doing the calculations about the total collaborative partner cost, both the direct cost and the indirect cost, you need to make sure you're taking into account all of their costs so that you're sure the grant you're going to apply for can cover not only your costs, but their costs as well. This will help ensure that, again, both parties in the collaboration are compensated for the work that they're bringing to this collaborative effort. When we think about our applications and the questions that might come up, by all means, please remember that you can reach out to me, Diane, at dhleonardconsulting.com, and I can answer any questions that you have when you think about your collaborative partners, when you think about the budget work you might do with them, or how it is that you'll engage in perhaps some of that program design. I look forward to seeing you in our next module.